This week we received positive support and feedback from several predominant Ripon citizens. We thank you for that. That being said, let's begin this week's episode. The Wisconsin Phalanx arrived long before the Little White Schoolhouse crowd gathered. The communal Utopian group rose out of Southport, Wisconsin, led by a man named Warren Chase, Phalanx president and future candidate for governor of Wisconsin. Warren, a charismatic individual, was an instrumental key figure in the community's organization and its beliefs. Although not all members subscribed to his ideals, at any time with more than 2/3 vote, any member could be voted out, losing rights to land and stock. So conformity kind of goes without saying. In future episodes, we will focus more on Warren Chase, but for now, we'll touch briefly on his history and add perspective to those horrible doctrines we spoke about in our Nameless No More episode. Warren was born in New Hampshire out of wedlock to Susanna Durgin in 1813. He was the son of a soldier that went away to the War of 1812 and never came back. His mother, Susanna, abandoned by family, an outcast in the local community, and not even able to attend church, struggled with her newborn child, despite the legacy of Warren's father's important name and heritage. Warren's life simply began as an ardent struggle. His unmarried mother passed away when he was only 5 years old, orphaned and quickly sold off by Pittsfield selectmen to the highest bidder, local farmer David Fogg. This unfortunate and unwilling placement he described as the lowest condition of poverty in New England slavery imaginable. Clothing and meals were meager, lodging so insufficient he suffered frostbite, he was beaten, and even David Fogg's same-aged child was taught superiority over him. There was no sympathy or love, nothing but hard work and deprivation. In essence, Warren was a child slave, and spent his young life parentless, without any underground railroad routes or hope towards freedom whatsoever. Until 9 years later, at age 14, Warren was ready to rebel. Having heard stories of runaways, he tested his luck and escaped the farmhouse prison, on the run for 3 days, returning to his origins roots with no education and unable to read or write. Warren had found his way to his grandmother's house. There, he was warmed and fed, and she placed him in the care of another farm family of Universalists who made certain he was educated and well-mannered by age 21. Warren was released and given $100 and 2 suits of clothes, to which the young man headed for Boston. Despite lacking skills for getting ahead in the big city, he discovered the Boston Investigator and was immediately taken to the free thinker ideals, for his religious nature was already feasting on rationalism, and to him that was the best religion he could find in the country. He and his family members pioneered onward to Southport, Wisconsin in 1838, where he was heavily involved in the Franklin Lyceum, as shown here advertised to be debating the topic, "Was Great Britain justifiable in her late war?" right above the death notice of his only 19-month-old son. At the time, Warren began heavily embracing modern spiritualism and communication with the dead. Along with mesmerism and magnetism, he felt his clairvoyant abilities came to him as a childhood gift when Mother watched over him, and it was her spirit that led him towards safe passage from his enslavement at Fogg's. Soon, the members of the Franklin Lyceum began introducing these topics along with the topic introduced by the works of Charles Fourier, a French utopian socialist and philosopher who advocated reconstruction of society based on the idea that the natural passions of man would, if properly channeled, result in social harmony. A corporation was formed, Warren elected president, land selected and bought, stock issued, and those brave enough followed their fearless, charismatic leader into paradise, or Ceresco as they called it, named after the Roman goddess Ceres of agriculture. No doubt Chase's commitment to slaves, servants, and fugitive wives was truly genuine, but perhaps undermined by his assumptions about relationships, common views shared with most male critics of marriage. He didn't enforce gender division of labor in his own household or any other for that matter, his own wife not really being on board with the idea of living at Ceresco Phalanx Utopian community, where women had little to no privacy and were assigned the laundry, cooking, and the cleaning for everyone. Chase, for the most part, publicly denied that Ceresco allowed for extramarital sex or free love, but Warren's own solutions to his personal unhappiness was to embrace free thinking early on as a part of an audacious group of spiritualists and free-loving Americans endorsing the right to divorce and form new partnerships. With a belief that the cause of unhappy marriage was women's legal inequality, their forced submission to unwanted sexual relationships, the bearing of too many children, and men's inability to check their sexual desires, and the need for more discussion of how to achieve pleasurable sexual relations. Warren played a vital role in transporting sex radical ideas from community to community, advocating free love both before and long after Ceresco. Chase never said that men or women should have multiple partners, although he assumed some would, and there was really little to be done about that. Love and desire would always find a way. His public position on marriage grew in part from his genuine devotion to the separation of church and state. Join us again next week, and we'll continue to explore Ceresco and the Wisconsin Phalanx and how literally it took a war to become the city of Ripon. We've added a new contact form to the website, so please feel free to reach out with any comments or questions. We'd like to hear from you. To learn more, visit riponrabbithole.com and be sure to subscribe for additional case files.